Hey guys, TK here for a new episode of NPC Library, where we find out who are those non-playable characters in your world. Now, when it comes to the different types of NPCs, I almost wanted to do one on the Psychos. However, that type of character is just unreadable. All you know is they shout at you whilst throwing tomahawks. So instead, I thought I'd talk about Handsome Jack. Now, for those of you who have been living underneath a dull box for the past decade, Handsome Jack is got to be the biggest antagonist that our lovely Vault Hunters have seen in the Borderlands franchise. The thing about this very charismatic and very hostile character is that his most notable situations are the fact that he is a manipulative bastard and that he can be a very abusive person as well. So let's get into his character and find out more about who he is. So how does Handsome Jack relate to you in the Borderlands series? Handsome Jack is the main antagonist in Borderlands 2. Everywhere you go, he will want you to know how lame you are over the phone.
Enjoy your nothing, idiot!
In all seriousness, though, he abuses you every chance he can get. Up from his satellite Hyperion base he resides, but even such a monster can hunger for the outside. He has tortured many a soul in the world of Pandora. From torturing loved ones, poor Tannis, to destroying an entire line of lovable robots. There is no bounds to this abusive behavior.
Dad, I have to tell you something. You're an asshole.
Now, when it comes to Handsome Jack type characters, there's only one person that comes to mind. When I was still in my early days for being an autism advocate, I was also trying to be a multimedia designer. I had produced some interesting works, and it was really hard to find work in that field. I had someone go to my disability support provider and say, "Hey, do you have someone who works in digital media?" And they go, "I know just the man." Now, I met him and everything seemed to work out alright. He seemed to be very considerate of my disability. Then my dad took me to his mansion south of a Western Sydney location. So southwest. And I went and I met him at his very large house. He welcomed me with no shirt on. That was peculiar. I didn't want to see such a large belly on such a short person. Then, after having a look at his lovely place and seeing the office that I would be working in, I went to my first filming gig. It was a sporting event in which I would be filming an athlete and he would be talking to me about the different types of methods that he does in his sport. I'll leave it to you to think about what kind of sport it was. It involves an animal, that's all I'll say. Now, after I had finished filming at 6 p.m, my new boss, Jack, because I can't mention his real name, he didn't arrive for an hour, and that was my first warning sign. My second warning sign came to me when I was filming a boxing match, and while I was there, I had to be underneath a strobe light whilst these boxers were throwing blood, sweat, and tears into my face. Now, I don't know if you know about neurodivergent or autistic people, but this is not an autism-friendly environment. He went and he berated me afterwards because I wasn't filming in the right locations when I was trying to get away from those strobe lights. It got worse. He would wake me up at 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning just to berate me over my filming quality and just to tell me off. I was actually producing good work. I was just put under the worst types of situations. He just kept throwing me into these filming situations that I didn't want to be in, that I couldn't be in. You never throw an autistic person into a place where you would suffer from sensory overload. I didn't have work for a full year after that because I was afraid of what might happen. That's the thing about abusive people who obtain power. They will use it to their advantage no matter what. And if anyone goes and tries to go against that, they will take them down as much as they can. It doesn't matter their gender, their sexuality, their race, or their disability. I remember playing Borderlands 2, and I saw the lovely Tannis speaking about how the bastard of a Handsome Jack went and destroyed a couple of chairs. Now, to anyone, destroying a couple of chairs probably means nothing. But for Tannis, this was something that she had emotional weight to. And I tell you, if you go and you abuse someone with a disability, I don't know how you can turn around from that.
What's that saying? Don't pick a fight with a man with nothing left to lose.
So what can you do if you find people like Handsome Jack in the real world? There are hundreds of quotes about power, responsibility, and abuse. Robert Caro believed that power doesn't corrupt, it reveals. Mike Cloud said that the problem isn't the abuse of power, it is the power to abuse. To me, there is one quote about power that should be valued most of all. With great power comes great responsibility, by Stan Lee, most notably in Spider-Man. The unfortunate matter that we face today is that there is an abuse of power by all kinds of people. You will meet people who will want to use power to get their own gain, but don't know how to use it properly. It gets worse when their ego is bigger than their brain. The thing is, when someone abusive obtains power, he is the only one that wins. Try your best to recognize those who use power egotistically. A good team can come together when you have the right leader, not a boss. You don't have to have a title in order to become a great leader. By recognizing the fantastic work that your peers and co-workers do, you can become the fantastic person that you can be. There are so many people that go and do their work without having to, think about their own ego for once. And it's all about trying to find that purposeful work in which you can do for your day-to-day life. Bringing it all back home, you have to recognize your own emotional and mental health. And if you do that, you can strive much better in the world of today. There are people you can seek out if you're at work. You can go to HR. You can go and see another boss from another department, possibly. You have teachers, you have therapists. Always seek out that professional help. Because Lord knows if you don't, then you're not going to go anywhere. If nothing else changes, you have to ask yourself, is this where I want to be right now? Or, if you can't enjoy it enough and you can't answer that question with the right answer, what can you do to change it? Okay folks, that wraps it up for another week. I am looking forward to next week where we talk about Claptrap, the lovely character that we know just so much. So I hope you sit back, enjoy the week, and I'll catch you next time.
You hear me, Jack? You killed my friends! You destroyed my product line! I am the last Claptrap in existence!